thoughts influence us and how they shape our reality. If we want to live consciously, and if we want to be the light in the world, we must make the connection between these conscious thoughts and intention and imagination, how these things all work. And this is one of the teachings at the heart of the metaphysical movement, of the New Thought movement. It's a great insight that brings enlightenment to our human experience and helps us to be the light and to love in the way that we do. So that's what we're going to be looking at this morning. So the first thing we must do is use intention to bring us into alignment with our natural state of being. You know, we say all the time that we're love, or we're peace, or we're light. So the first thing we must do is align with that if we want to experience it. I must allow peace to arise within me if I want to have an experience of peace. And by the way, what we're talking about is the original purpose of the law of attraction, which sadly has been misunderstood, misinterpreted, and misused. In a sense, the law of attraction has become Alexa. The law, however, is a spiritual law or principle which says that whatever form our thoughts take, the field of awareness will then shape them energetically so that we can experience these thoughts that we're having in the world. If this weren't so, we wouldn't be able to experience anything at all. Every experience we have is born from thought. Not necessarily caused by thought, but definitely interpreted by our thoughts. For instance, if a plane just fell in the field next door, you hadn't been thinking that a plane was going to fall in the field next door, so you didn't cause that to happen, but you're going to have an immediate response, and your mind is going to start generating all sorts of thoughts, and then you're going to have all sorts of feelings about that. You may say, hopefully not, that it was their karma. Their time was up, that's why the plane crashed. Or you may have just concern for the people in the plane. So we're not sure, are we, how we're going to respond. It seems like the thoughts just show up. Our thoughts about our experience are often buried at the unconscious level, as we know. We build our thoughts out of the field of awareness around us, and that field is acutely aware of how we are holding those thoughts to build our experience. And you know, there's a great phrase in Unity, but thoughts held in mind develop after their kind, which is a very important thing to be aware of and to know that it's about holding thoughts. It's not about whatever thought just passed through your mind. Because from the way of mastery, we know that we can have murderous thoughts. It doesn't mean that we hold on to them, or it doesn't mean that we have to act on them. We just let them on their merry way. But it's the thoughts that we hold, that we're putting energy into, that we're stuck on, that we're giving all sorts of emotional energy. Those are the ones that we need to pay attention to. And our bodies give us all sorts of feedback, don't they? They register our thoughts, even if we aren't aware of them. Our bodies are our own exploratory laboratories, which explore consciousness through experimenting with thoughts. If I hold this thought, what happens? What do I feel? If I hold that thought, what do I feel? What happens? For instance, if I hold a thought of expansion, of love, grace, I'm going to have an immediate response in my body at a cellular level. The cells of my body are going to mirror that thought and give me immediate feedback. My body will tell me whether that thought is in alignment with the nature of the awareness that created it. When you hold thoughts at the same frequency as the awareness that created them, the sensation in your body lets you know that this is in alignment with your original nature, and you will experience harmony, peace, ease, security. I'm sure you've all had the experience where you're reading a book and you come across this one line in the book and it just jumps out at you, and you immediately know this is the truth. And you have a visceral reaction to that. You feel it in your body. Maybe the hair on your arm stands, or you get goosebumps. If we have thoughts that are not in harmony with our original nature, our body likewise also lets us know through tightness, through anxiety, through fear, unease. If we want to be the light, enlightened beings, then we must pay attention to these subtle sensations so that we can be guided before taking action. And since our nature is expansive, eternal, and infinite, anytime we think limiting or contracting thoughts, our bodies are going to let us know that we are not in alignment with our true nature. Our bodies tell us we are attempting to hold back a naturally expansive force that wishes to extend itself. We feel that in our emotional responses, in our sensory responses, and we call them pain, grief, discomfort, unease. But at their most basic level, they're a contraction. They're pulling inward. They're fearful, trying to hold us back, trying to hold back an expanding force that is attempting to evolve us onto the next level of our development and consciousness. So I've talked recently about trying to make the talks a little more interactive or engaging or experimental. So we're going to have a little experiment here for a minute or two. Changing course can be difficult for our minds and our bodies, we know that, especially when we attempt to do that to begin with. So let's start with something fairly neutral. I'm going to invite you to have a collective thought, have an intention around okayness. So just again, take a breath, be in your heart, and just hear that thought go through your mind and your body. I am okay. You might want to repeat that a few times until you feel an emotional or sensory response. If we have layers of resistance based on not feeling okay, it might take several attempts to penetrate the crust of not okayness we have built up over a lifetime. Now intend or imagine the trillions of cells in your body. They're listening. And just like you would say, Alexa, now you're saying, cells of my body, I am okay. Now let's add another layer. Let's use your own name. So I'm going to say, Jerry, you are okay. So away you go. In the silence of your own mind and heart, use your name. You are okay. And now change it to your name. I am okay. And every cell hears your name as its own, and it says, yes, Master, because all the cells are meant to be servants of your well-being. And all of a sudden now you have trillions of cells saying, you called, you want me to do something, you want me to respond in a certain way, you want me to feel okay. That was the beginner's level. Now we're going to go to the next level. Let's make an intention that forms a thought that we want to shape us into more than being just okay. So we say or command our being to recognize our true nature by saying, I am much more than just okay. I'm a lot more than just okay. And can you feel that ripple throughout your body? Can you feel that energy of trillions of cells expanding, surging, bubbling up with this aliveness of the divine that's in us? We can sense ourselves lightening up. We are now more of a light being just through the activation and awakening of our cells to a higher thought. Now we have opened the way for the next level of expansion. Are you ready, Freddie? I want you to hear this thought and take it in. I am wonderfully made. And again, use your name. And you might imagine your cells doing backflips. All right, now we're going to go really deeper. I want you to say to yourself, I am beautiful. Put your name before that. And again, allow the surge and the expansion of energy carried by those words to go through your body. And we're going to go deeper. We're going for the gold here. I am beautiful because I am the divine. Put your name in front of it. Did you feel that go to a deeper level? See, we have to do a little soft shoe sometimes to get there. But now we're going for platinum. We're just going to say this straight out, unadulterated. I am the divine. Put your name in front of it. Know your divine nature with no other qualifiers. All right. Experiment over for now. So now do you understand why we use affirmations? Or why we say certain prayers like, all is well? We have to deprogram all the old conditioning that says we are less than, imperfect, incomplete, lacking, separate. By reprogramming with expansive thoughts, like we've just used, to align us with our deepest self, with our true nature. Why do we sing hymns and songs? Because it's a powerful way to use several faculties or chakras all at once to have a message penetrate our subconscious. It's called whole learning, where we use several parts of the brain all at once. And it's why you may notice that you still remember the lyrics of the songs from when you were a teenager, because you sang them. But if I asked you what you had for breakfast, you can't tell me. When we sing, we use our mind. We use several parts of the brain simultaneously. We use our eyes to read music and lyrics. We utilize our ears to be in tune, some better than others. We use our voice to cause a resonance throughout our bodies, to embed an affirmation, a resonance of truth into our cellular memory. You know, last week we sang, how can anyone ever tell you you are anything less than beautiful. And people tell me all the time that they have such a hard time getting through that song and not crying. Because it's resonating, it's a healing going into our cells. It's an energy that's changing us and expanding us. The cells of our bodies, indeed our whole body, is duty-bound to respond to the thoughts that we hold. And we can be mindless sometimes when we sing these, our mind wanders off and the song ends and it's like, oh, it's over. Hopefully we're paying attention and we're really letting those words touch our hearts. So our thoughts literally make an impression on the substance of our cells and on the structure of our cells. And they expand, they open up. Why? Because we are creative beings whose thoughts can create our reality, based on whether we think limiting, constricting, contracting thoughts or possibility-centered thoughts that are expansive. And again, it's like, we can take this to an extreme. It's like, people say you can do whatever you want. You can be whatever you want. Well, no, I'm not going to be an astronaut. I don't think that's going to happen. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about taking our divine nature and expressing what our divine nature is, and we most certainly can do that. Contraction goes against the natural state of the universe, which quantum physicists tell us all the time is naturally expanding. The nature of the universe expanding without end, and all of us as part of that universe, we're expanding too, as the light of the universe. Our bodies and our cells are made up of light that desire to expand without end. It literally hurts us and our bodies when we try to resist the expansion. When we give in to fear, we're not happy. We're fearful. We're anxious. It doesn't feel good. So we need to choose our intentions by the highest good and the highest outcome that we wish to experience. Those intentions which reflect the nature of our being and the best outcome for ourselves and others simultaneously creates the most alignment and brings the world into a state of harmony. And I've said this many times, when we pray for something for ourselves, for healing or whatever, why don't we just pray for the whole world in this moment for healing? Why does it have to be, no, I must focus on me? But I'm part of the whole. So why can't I pray for the whole, from the whole, rather than limiting, thinking that I must focus on myself? Intention is very revealing because the thoughts we choose reveal the nature of our inner state, our state of consciousness. We show who we are or who we think we are by what we intend. By intending forgiveness, kindness, generosity, and good for all human beings, we display our highest calling and our deepest nature. In fact, there is no limit to the good that we can express in this world when we open to our true divine nature. Imagine all possibilities of our true self in order to manifest them in this life. To not do so is a failure of imagination. We have this incredible gift of imagination that we can combine with intention. Not for things, not all that stuff, but for who we can be in the world. Love, kindness, forgiveness, gentleness, peacefulness. So let's use one of the more challenging lines from Unity Principles that newcomers often have a problem with and trip over. It's a prayer that we say every Sunday. Let's imagine and intend that all is well. How can you tell me all is well when I can plainly see that it isn't? In fact, it's pretty messed up, you might say. Well, we must let that thought go and be open and recognize and accept. We can accept that thought. We don't have to fight with it. Just let it go over us like a wave. But then we must be open to seeing how it could possibly be that everything is okay, despite appearances, contrary to popular thought. Hold the intention of highest possibility that all is well. Wouldn't that be great if it were true? That despite all of the stuff that's going on, and the coronavirus and all of this stuff, despite all that, all is still well. Just, open up to the possibility. Begin by affirming and intending that all is well. Let the cells of your body respond, and let them verify whether this is a true statement or not. Go beyond just the rational mind. Let's add to the statement, indeed, all is very well, allowing for the surprise that you feel as you begin to contemplate that. Let that ripple through your body. Let's add a little more to it. Oh my God, all is frigging amazingly well. All right, so let's go for the gusto here. If you've been dealing with a health challenge that seems to have you stuck, you just don't seem to be able to get past this, you have an illness or a disease or cancer, whatever it is, let's do some intentional work around that. Maybe you want to lose some weight. Whatever. So let's speak intentionally right now to whatever that concern is. I intend for this challenge that I am experiencing to no longer be needed because I've outgrown it and I have learned the lesson it needed to teach me. I intend the wholeness existing underneath it to come forward now. I am whole right now in my true divine nature. And let the cells of your body inform you as to how all is well with you despite appearances. How you are whole, perfect and complete, deep down inside. And in your quiet time, you may need some more time to do this. Every day, just ask yourself, ask your body, ask your true divine nature to let you know how this is a truth. And your inner guidance will speak to you. Your soul will inform you how it's true and how all is well. And see what comes up for you. And let me know. Share with me what comes up. Because I know you are going to have a response. And I'd love to know what those responses are. Live a much bigger and better life through the power of your intention and imagination. Take hold of that power for good, for the world, for yourself, for all people.